My name is Ifeanyi Ejiofor, human rights activist and social crusader. I'm lead counsel to IPOB in various matters we handle for them. So, and by special grace of God, um, a lawyer that has distinguished himself in the practice of law. Thank you so much. Coming to the issue at hand, if you are following my discussion before Simon Ekpa was arrested, if you are following my discussion over the social media before Simon Ekpa was arrested, you understand that I've been raising this alarm over time about the activities of Simon Ekpa. And I have some people who are not well informed, refuse to understand his activities and what actually he's set out to achieve. Because ab initio, he was not in any form of agitation. He was there committing all forms of criminality, blackmailing people. At some point, I took him to court in Abuja here. So as a matter of fact, the matter is still ongoing today. So, and where people were being kind of informed to understand what he's doing. Because if you take into cognizance or probably consideration as to what transpired at a point in time, his preachings, and how he's inciting people to commit all forms of atrocities, you will know that he's clearly out of the struggle. Because if I can ask you, this is rhetoric question. Someone that says is agitating for the salvation, for the liberation of his people, how can you tell me that we're encouraging killings of some people who are actually agitating for their liberation and encouraging violence against them, abduction, kidnapping, for ransom, and all sorts of things? So I've written so many things about that. Even I can recollect the last piece I wrote was about when I urged the Southeast governors to take a firm position about this situation. But Anambra State governor, I said, no, it's time for you to develop a mechanism towards addressing this ravaging insecurity in the state. Because we can no longer continue to further answer and allow it to stand. One day we'll not see someone who want to govern again. So, and I commend Soludo for inaugurating Agony Chamber Security Outfit, because they are doing marvelously well in Anambra State. I commend him. So, and also encourage other state governors to take a cue from him. But other governors, particularly the Anambra State governor and the Enugu, they are doing extremely well in their own strategy. So they adopted towards fighting insecurity. They are doing extremely well. So I must also commend them. So we are aware. I'm not surprised that he will end up in the manner in which he ended up, because I know that it's a function of time. It's a function of time that the long arm of the law will catch up with him. And I thank God that he's today behind the bars and giving account of his stewardship. Of course, we know that some of this, we are not unaware of the fact that some of this money that making through these illicit activities then are being transported to him, and some is being sent to people to encourage them. So when I saw the publication by the federal government, I wasn't surprised at all, because they know it must be a product of painstaking investigation and stock taking on his activities and those and his allies. So I commend also the federal government for such a diligent job. And I believe that the Finland authority will possibly, because I understand from every indication they are still assembling facts and evidence for his possible prosecution. Prosecution has not started. So, and they must someday give account of stewardship before a law court over there. Because we lost so many people in the course of his activities. People were killed, people were abducted. In fact, if you're following up what's happening in social media, revelations which have started emerging of late, you'll be unsettled, as a matter of fact, by those mind-boggling revelations. So people are killed, kidnapped, buried. Some people even transacted on their human parts, from what I heard. So it's horrible and heinous. They completely desecrated our land, which you need by special grace of God for our land to be healed. But I thank God, of course, you can see that there is relative peace. It's arresting over there in Finland. We are enjoying relative peace in the land, across the southeast. As a matter of fact, it wasn't as serious and as pronounced as it used to be before. So, and I'm praying the state executives across the southeast to sustain the temple. That's my prayers to them, and also sustain the temple and restore total peace in the land.
Going forward, what do you think your can be done to be able to get the people of the Southeast to come out of this fear that they've had in the past?
The problem, let me explain this to you. The problem we encounter with Simon Ekpa's activities is as serious as what you can never imagine. Because at a point in time, he started with saying, addressing himself as Nnamdi Kanu's spokesperson, a disciple, first of all, disciple, from there to spokesperson of IPOB, which he never was. So now, at the end of the day, he formed the Biafran government in exile. So throughout this period of time, the security agents deliberately were attributing his activities to IPOB, when they are fully aware that he wasn't part of IPOB, he was not working for them, he's not part of them. It was deliberately done to demonize IPOB as an organization. Now, it now follows that anybody who is arrested, probably either mistakenly or by information, or who has any form of affiliation with IPOB, cannot be released. And so, as a matter of fact, they cannot even identify, track where he's being detained, place of detention. So we have so many people that were arrested during that process. But both those who knows nothing about what he was doing, and those who merely come out to proclaim themselves as IPOB, genuinely as IPOB members. And these guys will be arrested because his activities have been attributed to IPOB. That was the problem. So I can assure you today, from record available to us, that we have thousands of our people in detention across board. And the worst part is that you will not go anywhere, you will not go to any of the detention facilities to see them. As soon as someone is being detained in Sanso place, probably in CID, in Mr. A CID, or DSS office at Mr. C. Situate at area C. You go there, they will tell you, I don't know about this thing. We don't know about what happened, we don't even have any information about the person you're talking about. This is a problem. So enforce disappearance of people with a gross violation of human rights. People are not allowed access to their lawyers, are not allowed access to relatives. People whereabouts who we are detained, arrested at this point in time, or whereabouts are not known. Some are being today detained at the Waji barracks in Niger State today. Many of them are there. So this is the problem we found ourselves into across the Southeast. The security agents are there violating the right, arresting them, detaining them arbitrarily. Then those who are lucky to be detained are arrested. Some are being killed. Then Simon Ekpa is on the one side killing our people, abducting them kidnapping them for ransom in broad daylight at the same time. So this is a situation we are faced at the point in time. So I also use this opportunity to appeal to federal government and security agents to profile these people and promptly release them unconditionally. Do you know those? I usually have already then at the point in question, during those evil days of Simon Ekpa, I in so many occasions written opinion, and I said, you people should identify your targets. Then when you identify your targets, you should know where they are and go after them and allow innocent people season to be. You shouldn't, in the course of looking for a criminal who are terrorizing the country, terrorizing the state, terrorizing the civilians, you go about arresting innocent people who have no connection with them, who doesn't know what they're doing. Mothers and fathers have been arrested, children have been arrested, they are arrested at the point in time. So I'm praying for the federal government to immediately and unconditionally profile those arrested, those who are still in their detention, and release them, release the innocent ones among them, profile them. They have information among they know those who are working with Simon. Of course, a few days ago they came up with this information study, those they classify as financial. How they go this information? That will aid them to know those who are working with them, and allow the innocent people who have contributed nothing, who are not involved in any form of crime, or who are not associated with Simon Ekpa in any form, to go scot-free, to go there, go back to their homes.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Now, you have handled, as a civil lawyer, you have handled some of this type of issue matters that have been in court. Will you tell us a few about some of this issue that you've actually handled and how far are they going in courts?
Well, the point is that we have been in this case, we've been in IPOP cases since 2015, almost these 10 years. We've been in the cases of IPOB. So, and we've done a lot for them, and we are succeeding because I have almost virtually constantly maintained the right to self-determination is a constitutional guaranteed right, and it's a right that is sacrosanct and that cannot be taken away from anybody under any circumstance. And in the course of exercising this right, it must be done within the ambit of law. That has been my admonition to IPOB, and they've been doing that. Because when it is done within the ambit of law, by not being involved in any form of violence, criminality of any kind, it makes our work so easy. We have, in the course of this handling their cases, released them in their thousands. As a matter of fact, one of the cases coming up in the next coming days, few days in Ebonyi State. That one is a very pathetic case. It has a terrible history. These are civilians, pro-Biafrans. They are not involved in any form of crime. They were arrested sometime in 2020, late 2020 in Ebonyi. There were 36 of them. They were arrested in Ebonyi. And I would like you to let the world understand, hear this. And we are charged in 2021 before a court, High Court in Ebonyi State, for committing offense of murder. I entered their defense. Then the prosecution fielded 3 witnesses and closed this case. At the end of prosecution's case, we filed a no case submission because we are satisfied that the prosecution were unable to substantiate the bogus allegations against these innocent civilians. And the court found for us and discharged them and consequently acquitted them. During the pendency of this charge, the state also filed another 6-count charge against them, pending before another court. Then immediately we were discharged. They were arrested from the court within the court premises and took back to prison. We came back for that 2nd charge. Then we allowed them to proceed. We never objected. They fielded 4 witnesses then, some witnesses. And at the end of the prosecution's case, we ended on the case submission as well again, because they were unable to establish those bogus charges. Then they were charged with the offense of robbery, offense of arson, offense of illegal possession of firearms, offense of belonging to love society, and all manner of frivolous allegations. Then we filed a case submission at the end of prosecution's case. The court upheld it on the merit, discharged and acquitted them. During the pendency of the 2nd charge, they also filed another charge before another court that borders on offense of armed robbery. Now, the same robbery offense, if you were just charged, the final offense of armed robbery. Of course, elementary for you to know that if you're unable to establish offense of robbery, it is highly impossible for you to establish offense of armed robbery, because it is robbery that will give rise to armed robbery. So when you are unable to establish, it's elementary law, ingredient constituting offense of robbery, it will be near impossible, 100% impossible for you to establish offense of robbery. And they fielded 3 witnesses as well, and they eventually closed their case. We filed a no case submission as well, argued vigorously, and the court upheld it and discharged and acquitted them. When that charge was pending, I'm talking about the 3rd one now. These are people that were arrested in 2020 in Ebonyi State. When that charge was pending, they also filed another charge for the offense of armed robbery. The same facts, proof evidence, information, witnesses, they lied upon the former one. And I filed an objection to that charge. I said, no, I can't continue this way. I can't continue. The court listened to our very persuasive argument, strong argument. And at the end of the day, the court, that trial didn't go on. But I said, no, can't continue. Can't continue to abuse judicial process. Running from one court to another, looking for a convenient court to convict innocent civilians that were discharged by court, that have been discharged by court effectively. And at the end of the argument, the court upheld my objection and discharged and acquitted them. When that charge, the fourth one was pending, they filed another one. They filed another one. That one will be coming up next week. We have already filed an objection to that charge. I had at some point wanted to do certain administrative petitions against the authority who are doing this. But I was advised, let us go into hearing and see what will happen. I would mean. So, that, okay, when just oppose what happened here in Federal High Court last year, about 53 persons were arrested on December 2023. Specifically, other 21st of December, I've forgotten the date, and brought into Abuja here on account of being members of IPOB, and also all manner of useless charges filed against them. We defended them. That matter was had by the Honorable Justice Omotoso. And they fielded about 4 witnesses. At the end of the prosecution's case, we filed a no case submission before Federal High Court here in Abuja here, not in Ebonyi. And the court, after listening to argument, very strong and persuasive argument in support of objection, our no case submission, the court found our objection, our submission meritorious, and discharged and acquitted this. My Lord did not stop at making that pronouncement. The Lordship was there, signed their release warrant, and they went back to the prison. They were released the same day. They were not even allowed to enter the prison again. And they left the same day. But now the Southeast here, people that were arrested since 2020 has been consistently discharged by the court of the same state. Discharged and acquitted in 4 consecutive occasions. And has it been kept at the pleasure of the state government. How else can you talk about human rights violation? Abuse of court process is not the height of violation of human rights and abuse of court process. It's important for us to let the world know about this. People that have been discharged by the court severally, a court of competent jurisdiction, not a magistrate court, and said, "Go, you have committed no offense unto law. I hereby discharge and acquitted you." And they said, "No, the state is not comfortable." And in any of these pronouncements, in any of these decisions, the state has not bothered to go and appeal. Not one. They don't bother to appeal any of the decisions. But they are tossing the judicial process, vigorously pursuing the court, the convenient court, they will secure conviction. So it is full. I want you to let the world know about this. I will supply you. I will give you every document, every information about document, the judgment I'm talking about. I'll send it to you. We have them handy. So how else can you describe about human rights violation around this?
The issue now is implementing the chapter.
No, the point. Let me say this to you. Let me make this thing clear to you. That will form part of the ambit of my argument before the court in the coming days. You see, let me give you an example. Do you know why I just oppose between what is happening in Ebonyi State and what happened in Federal High Court here? Is to tell you about the firmness of judicial officers. You can't try that rubbish with Justice Omotoso. You can't do that in his court. You can't do that. He's firm. That's my problem. A judge is under obligation to protect his order. You can't allow your process to be abused by anybody. You're under obligation, under an oath, to protect your proceedings and your orders. You can't allow that to continue. Look at almighty federal government. They have all it takes to see the arrest these guys over here in Abuja, not even in Anambra. But nothing happened. My Lord gave an order, discharged, acquitted them, and signed the release warrant, and the federal government obeyed it. A court is under obligation to protect the order. The religion of authority to that effect. You can't allow them to be tossing with orders. You must stand firm to protect your orders. And judgment, rule of law, judgment you delivered. It will form part of my argument in the coming days. What's the need for you to make an empty order? And it's not enforced. You hear a case on the merit, give an order, deliver judgment, and make a consequential order, and it's not obeyed, why are you coming to the court? You can no court will attend that. As a matter of fact, I don't expect any high court neighbor state to handle that matter again, to look into that matter again. I don't expect any high court in a Ebonyi state to entertain any charge emanating from state government on account of affecting those people. Because their process has been abused. Their orders have been abused. Their judgment has been abused. They are content of the court orders. So a court, my own position is that a court should stand firm and protect the orders they made. I've seen cases where a court will make an order, and you come before the court say no, you can't take any further step in my court. As a matter of fact, I've appeared in one of the cases I'm handling in Enugu State. The court in question will make an order. Let me just give us something as mine as cost. My lord will make an order and said, and give a cost against either a lawyer or a litigant to be paid before the next adjourned date. Even if you're a senior advocate in that matter, if you didn't pay that cost, the court will never listen to you. It has happened before me. You must pay that cost. That's what order of court entails. You can't make an order in a vacuum. Your order must be obeyed. You must pay that cost. The court will sit. You will go back and pay. If you're not ready to pay, you will adjourn the matter. So I don't expect any court in a Ebonyi state to start entertain that charge, any form of charge being filed against them. It's like close styling the charge, upgrading the charge. Those have been the charge from 2021 till last year November. By 4 courts, the fifth one, the fourth, by 3 courts, the fourth one happened last 3 weeks. So the court is also in a position to protect the orders he made. Order made by his own brothers. When you allow them to abuse their court, the orders, when you allow litigants, probably executives, to have the people that believe they have all it takes to abuse the orders he made, it goes to the integrity of the court. It goes to the integrity of the court. Because orders are not made in a vacuum. Orders of the court must be obeyed to the letter. You can't be in contempt of court order and approach the same court for any form of remedy. You don't do that. You must go and wash the iniquity. Go and clean up before coming to court. You must go and obey the court orders. If you see, without a country that runs without rule of law, you cannot achieve that. You see, let me make an example. Let me give an example. In one of the proceedings I participated in, okay, these proceedings that took place, that's happening in Ebonyi State, the detainees who at some point they started crying, shouting in court. But at last adjourned date, when they were disappointed, they couldn't talk. I said, you can now see that court is the last hope of the common man. They've been doing justice to you, to all manner of men. You were not afraid, they were not intimidated. They saw it happen. They know where their problem lies. They know those who are after their freedom, not the court. So the government has a lot to do to improve, advance the course of justice, and also to promote the rule of law. A lot of situations, a lot of things, topical issues I may wish to comment, but I choose not to, for reasons, for either because there have been a pronouncement on those issues before by Supreme Court of Records, or those issues are being litigated upon, which I may not be rightfully make contribution to that effect because of my position as a lawyer. So, but I believe the federal government has a lot to do with I have to opt for that. And I commend, let me use the opportunity to commend the leadership for MBA. They are doing much. The new leadership of MBA, led by Mazaf Musibesen, is doing exceptionally wonderful. We've not had this wonderful before. We've not had this good before. And I commend him and encourage him. The lawyers are happy with his interventions on so many topical issues, his statements in condemnation of so many issues. We are so proud of him. So, and I urge him to progress, to proceed. So let me also use the opportunity to say something, because there are issues I believe it's important for me to mention, particularly what's playing out in Anambra State today. I will just give a graphic opinion about what I believe is happening. I want to use this opportunity to commend the governor of Anambra State for the work he's doing in Anambra State. And they also need to remind people, some people who may not understand the history, that when it matters most, when our people were being slaughtered, killed like fowl, when they're being abducted, when nobody can speak, when everybody were afraid of speaking, I should count myself among the few who were writing and who were very vocal about the criminal activities of those who are hiding under the guise of the struggle. And I made it known to the world and also to the leadership, to the government, the governor of Anambra State then, that these are not people, anybody who involved in any form of criminality, kidnapping, killing of any form, abduction, should be classified as what he is. Should be categorized for what he is. Not it shouldn't be hidden under the guise of struggle of any form of agitation. It was written in black and white and posted in all platforms, and it was reported. We are very happy when Agune Chamber was unveiled, inaugurated. And my point then was, this people has been there even before the inauguration. I commended him. I said, my point is, they should not be used for any form of political purposes. They should do their work. After I know many of them, allowed to do their work, and they are competent to do this work. I said it. That was my first initial observation, and they are doing that work perfectly. Now, in the course of doing this, we have to be mindful of the fact that we should respect people's fundamental right as clearly encapsulated under Chapter 4 of the Constitution. In this instance, right to freedom of worship is extant, is constitutional guarantee right, which should supersede any other law you might have put in place to diffuse those rights. It's not possible. People have rights to freedom of worship. If I choose to worship this laptop today in my home, both in my central home in Orift, I worship it as my God. I have no right to get involved as to what I worship. But now, if in the course of worshiping that whatever I believe in, and I commit an offense, right, I should be arrested and prosecuted. That was my advice. I don't encourage any form of criminality. If you're a native doctor, you're allowed to practice a religion. But in the course of doing that, and you're involved in any form of crime, you should be arrested. It's not something we should make laws about. It's not something I call for noise making or further declaration. It doesn't call for it. It's simplicity. If in the course of practicing your religion, whether you're a native doctor or you're a pastor, or whatever you are, and you commit an offense, you'll be arrested and investigated and prosecuted. I don't know why people are making laws about this. It's sometimes it has been there. There are laws. Police are there to investigate. SSS are there to investigate. My problem is that you cannot abduct people, arrest people, keep them outside the facility of the police and SSS. That's been my problem. Some people are arrested from their homes, and they were not being detained by the police. They're not in the custody of the police or the SSS today. For the past 1 month, they've not been investigated. They've not even made their findings to the public, not to the public. I'm not protecting anybody who is involved in any form of crime. I can't even defend the person as a matter of fact. Because who condemn crime for what it is? But what I'm saying, when someone is arrested on suspicion of committing an offense, the law says, investigate him, charge him to court. Let the world know the offense is committed. You can't just keep someone for 4 months without taking the person to court. It's wrong and condemnable. You can't just tell me that any person that preaches on the road or around or probably involved in engages in crusade or evangelism of any kind in the public place should pay a fine of 500,000. You don't do that. You don't have powers to do that. I will challenge you in court. As a governor, I will challenge you. You don't have powers to do that. If these activities constitute a noise pollution as alleged, then the person there will be a moderation. There will be a moderation. Laws are there to be respected. We have a ground norm. So that has been my position. I'm not encouraging any form of crime. After all, I was among those who wrote. And my life was on the line, on the line then. Their way, my line was on the line. And I've sacrificed a lot. I am alive today by the special grace of God. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been alive today. Thank you so much for coming. Pleasure is all mine. Please, thank you. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for listening.